The bright screens of the Global Space Monitoring Station lit up the otherwise dark room. Tom Wilson rubbed his tired eyes, having spent the last 8 hours staring at the same radar displays. Nothing unusual ever happened during the night shift, which made the sudden blaring of alarms even more startling. "What the hell?" he muttered, jumping up from his chair. The coffee cup he'd been holding crashed to the floor, forgotten. The radar showed something massive approaching Earth at speeds that shouldn't have been possible. At first, Tom thought it was a system error. He ran 3 separate diagnostics, but each time the results came back the same. Whatever was heading toward Earth was real, and it was big. "Control, this is Station 7, Tom said into his headset, trying to keep his voice steady. "We have an unidentified object approaching Earth. Speed and size suggest it's not natural, and definitely not one of ours." Within minutes, the station erupted into activity. Scientists and military personnel poured into the room, their faces illuminated by the pulsing red warning lights. General Roberts, a stern-faced man with gray hair, took command of the situation. "Show me everything," the general ordered, leaning over Tom's shoulder. The object had slowed down now, taking up a position in high orbit. It was massive, nearly a mile long, and shaped like nothing they had ever seen before. The hull seemed to shimmer and shift, as if it couldn't decide what color it wanted to be. "Sir, it's positioning itself directly over the northern hemisphere," one of the technicians announced. The general picked up the red phone, the one that connected directly to the highest levels of government. "Mr. President, we have a situation." Military bases across the world went into high alert. Fighter jets scrambled, missile systems activated, and submarines surfaced in strategic positions. But the alien ship showed no signs of aggression. Instead, it just sat there, hovering silently above the Earth. Then something strange happened. A beam of pale green light shot from the vessel, spreading out like a web across the planet's surface. The computers in the monitoring station went crazy, recording massive amounts of data being collected by the scan. "They're scanning us," Tom said, watching the readings scroll across his screen. "But not for what we'd expect. They're not focusing on our cities or military installations. They're scanning everything. Plants, animals, oceans." The general frowned. What would they want with? He never finished his sentence. The alien ship suddenly lit up like a Christmas tree, its hull changing from subtle shimmer to bright, pulsing red. The energy readings from the vessel spiked dramatically. "Sir," Tom shouted, pointing at his screen. "Their power core. It's going into some kind of overdrive." The ship moved so fast that the human eye couldn't track it. One moment it was there, the next it was gone, leaving only a rapidly fading trail of strange energy readings. The force of its departure created a shockwave that rattled satellites and set off car alarms across several continents. In the following silence, Tom noticed something odd about the final readings. Just before the ship departed, his instruments had picked up unusual energy patterns. He'd seen similar patterns before in studies about animal behavior. "General," he said slowly, "these readings, they match the biological markers of extreme fear. Whatever they saw down there, it terrified them." The general stared at the now empty radar screen, his face pale in the dim light. "Get me the president again," he said quietly. Tell him we might have a problem. Something about Earth scared away an advanced alien civilization. We need to find out what it was, and fast." As the station burst into renewed activity, Tom couldn't shake the feeling that humanity had just failed its first contact situation, not by doing anything wrong, but simply by being what they were. The question was, what about Earth was so terrifying that it could send an advanced alien species running in panic? The answer, when it came, would change everything they thought they knew about their place in the universe. High in the Rocky Mountains, the Pine Ridge Observatory stood like a lonely sentinel against the night sky. Its large dome reflected the moonlight, slowly turning as it tracked something that was no longer there. Inside, Jack Miller adjusted his thick-rimmed glasses and played the recording for the 100th time. The data from the alien ship's departure still didn't make sense. As the lead astronomer at Pine Ridge, he had seen his fair share of strange phenomena, but nothing like this. "Come look at this," he called out to his new partner. Dr. Mary Roberts, a military scientist sent by the government, walked over to his desk. Her presence at the observatory was just one of many changes following the alien visit 3 days ago. "These energy readings," Jack pointed at his screen. "They're all wrong. The ship didn't just leave, it ran away. Look at these patterns." Mary leaned closer, her eyes widening. "The acceleration is off the charts. They must have burned through an enormous amount of fuel to achieve that speed." "Exactly," Jack said, pulling up another set of data. "But that's not the strangest part. Look at these biological readings we captured from their ship." The screen showed a complex wave pattern. To most people, it would have looked like random squiggles, but Mary's face went pale. As a military scientist who had studied alien biology theories, she recognized what she was seeing. "That's impossible," she whispered. "These patterns, they match known fear responses in living creatures." "But the intensity," she trailed off, doing calculations in her head. Jack nodded. Whatever they saw scared them so badly that their entire crew experienced simultaneous panic. The question is, what did they see? They spent the next few hours analyzing the alien scan patterns. The ship had taken detailed readings of Earth's entire biosphere in just 3.7 minutes. The technology required for such a feat was mind-boggling. "Look here," Mary said, pointing to a particular data set. They weren't scanning for technology at all. No interest in our cities, our weapons, or our infrastructure. They were focusing entirely on living things. Jack pulled up a global map showing the scan pattern. The intensity was strongest over areas with high biodiversity: rainforests, coral reefs, grasslands. "And this is odd," Mary added, highlighting another section. "They paid special attention to predator populations: lions, wolves, bears, sharks, anything that hunts other animals." A thought struck Jack. He quickly typed in some commands, and a new image appeared on the screen. It showed the scan intensity levels across different regions. "Mary," he said slowly, "the scan was most intense over human population centers. But not because of our buildings or technology. They were scanning us, our bodies, our biology." Mary sat down heavily in a nearby chair. "Are you saying they were more interested in us as organisms than as a civilization?" "Exactly," Jack replied. "And whatever they found out about us as living creatures terrified them enough to flee our entire solar system." The observatory's computers beeped with an incoming message. It was from the military command center, marked urgent. Mary opened it and read aloud. "Multiple observatories reporting strange signals from the edge of the solar system. Possible alien transmission. All facilities on high alert." Jack was already moving to adjust the observatory's powerful radio telescope. If they're transmitting something from that far out, it must be important. As the huge dish antenna turned to point toward the outer solar system, both scientists felt a mix of excitement and dread. Were the aliens sending a message, a warning, or something worse? The computer began receiving the signal. As the first bits of data started coming through, Mary's face grew serious. "Jack," she said, her voice tense, "you need to see this. They're not just sending a message. They're sending a warning to others about us. The true nature of humanity, as seen through alien eyes, was about to be revealed, and it would shake their understanding of their own species to its core." The morning sun crept through the observatory's windows as Jack and Mary stared at their computer screens. They hadn't slept in 24 hours, not since they began decoding the alien warning signal. Empty coffee cups littered their desks, silent witnesses to their long night of work. "This can't be right," Mary said, running the numbers again. "According to these alien messages, Earth is the only known planet in their database with this many predatory species. Jack looked up from his own work. What do you mean? Surely other planets have predators too. No, that's what's so strange. Mary turned her screen so Jack could see it. Most alien worlds evolved with mostly plant-eating creatures. Predators are extremely rare out there. The door burst open, and General Roberts walked in, followed by two junior officers carrying stacks of papers. The general looked like he hadn't slept either. "Tell me you've made progress," he said, pulling up a chair. Mary nodded, bringing up a series of images on the main screen. "We've translated more of their biological data. Earth is what they call a death world, a planet that shouldn't be able to support advanced life, according to their understanding." "Why?" the general asked, leaning forward. Jack stepped in, pointing to different parts of the display. "Look at our planet's food chain. On Earth, life is built on the principle of eating other life. Lions hunt zebras, wolves hunt deer, eagles hunt rabbits. This creates what we call survival of the fittest." "And that's unusual?" one of the junior officers asked. "Very," Mary replied. "On most alien worlds, life evolved through cooperation. Their animals mostly eat plants or tiny organisms. The idea of one large animal hunting and killing another is horrifying to them." The general frowned. "So they ran away because we have predators. That seems like an overreaction." "It's more than that," Jack said, pulling up new data. "Earth's predators aren't just numerous. They're efficient. Our planet has produced some of the most effective hunting machines in the known galaxy. Think about it. Great white sharks that can smell blood from miles away. Tigers that can take down prey 3 times their size. Eagles that can spot a mouse from 1,000 feet up." Mary continued, "And that's just today's predators. When they scanned Earth, they also picked up our fossil records. They saw the entire history of predation on our planet. The saber-toothed tigers, the giant eagles, the dinosaurs. The dinosaurs." The general's eyes widened. "You mean they saw everything?" Jack confirmed. "Tyrannosaurus rex, velociraptors, all of them. Earth's history is filled with creatures that would seem like monsters to these aliens." Mary pulled up another screen showing a complex diagram. "Their society is built on complete cooperation. The concept of one species evolving to hunt another is completely foreign to them. When they saw Earth's ecosystem, where virtually every species has evolved some form of defense against predators, they panicked," the general finished. "Exactly," Jack said. "But here's the really interesting part. When they scanned Earth's life forms, they paid special attention to one particular species, one that frightened them more than all the others combined." The room fell silent as Jack pulled up the final image. It was a simple human silhouette. "Us?" the junior officer asked in disbelief. Mary nodded grimly. "We're not just another predator species to them. We're something much worse. We're predators who developed intelligence, tools, and technology. According to their scans, that combination shouldn't be possible." "What do you mean?" the general asked. "In their experience," Jack explained, "intelligence evolves as a defense against predators, not within predators themselves. A predator with the intelligence to build spaceships. That's completely unprecedented in their database of over 10,000 alien species." The general stood up slowly, walking to the window to look out at the peaceful mountain landscape. "So we're not just scary to them because we're predators," he said quietly. "We're scary because we're predators who can think, plan, and build weapons." "Exactly," Mary replied. "And that's not even the part that terrified them the most. Wait until you see what else they found in their scans of human biology." The room grew tense as Mary prepared to reveal the next piece of data, the discovery that would explain why Earth had been marked as the most dangerous world in known space. Mary's fingers flew across the keyboard, bringing up detailed scans of human biology on the main screen. The images showed human bodies in motion, highlighting various features in bright colors. "When the aliens scanned us," she explained, "they weren't just looking at our current state. Their technology let them see our evolutionary history written in our genes. What they found. She paused, shaking her head. What they found terrified them more than anything else they'd ever seen. Jack stepped forward, pointing to different parts of the display. Look at how we're built. Everything about us tells the story of the ultimate hunting machine. The general leaned closer, squinting at the images. What do you mean? We're not particularly strong or fast compared to other animals. That's just it, Mary said excitedly. We don't need to be. We evolved something far more terrifying. Endurance. She pulled up a new set of images showing early humans hunting. Most predators rely on ambush or short bursts of speed. They either catch their prey quickly or give up. But humans? We just keep going. Persistence hunting, Jack added. Our ancestors would chase animals until they collapsed from exhaustion. No other creature on Earth hunts like that. The aliens had never seen anything like it in the galaxy. The general's face paled as understanding dawned. So we're not just predators. We're relentless. Exactly, Mary confirmed. Look at these adaptations. Our ability to sweat, which lets us regulate our temperature while running. Our legs and hips, perfectly designed for long-distance movement. Our hands, ideal for making and using tools. Even our forward-facing eyes. Classic predator characteristics. One of the junior officers raised his hand. But surely other species must have some of these features. Some do, Jack replied. But not altogether, and not combined with our level of intelligence. The aliens found our particular mix of traits completely terrifying. We can track prey for days, plan complex hunting strategies, and use tools to take down animals much larger than ourselves. Mary brought up another screen showing a comparison between human brains and those of other species. But here's what really scared them. Most intelligent species they've encountered evolved their intelligence as prey animals. Their smarts developed to help them hide and survive. But humans, we developed our intelligence as hunters. What's the difference? The general asked. Everything, Mary answered. Prey species think defensively. How to hide, how to run, how to survive. But predator thinking is different. It's about strategy, about looking for weaknesses, about finding new ways to hunt. When you combine that predatory intelligence with tool use and our physical endurance, we become something unprecedented in the galaxy, Jack finished. A species that can outthink its prey and never stop pursuing it. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The second junior officer, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. So when they scanned us, they saw a species that combines the relentless pursuit instincts of a predator with the problem-solving abilities of an advanced civilization. Mary explained. In their eyes, we're essentially horror movie monsters, creatures that will hunt you down no matter where you hide, that can figure out ways around any defense, and that never, ever stop. The general walked to the window, looking out at the city in the distance. No wonder they ran, he said quietly. We must have seemed like their worst nightmare come true. It gets worse, Jack added, pulling up one final set of data. They also discovered something about our social structure that terrified them even more than our physical capabilities. Mary nodded grimly. Most predator species are solitary hunters, but humans, we hunt in groups. We coordinate. We share information. We learn from each other and pass knowledge down through generations. Dear God, the general whispered, we're not just persistent predators with tools and intelligence. We're persistent predators that work together. Exactly, Mary said. And that's why they left that warning beacon. To them, we're not just dangerous. We're an impossible combination of traits that by their understanding of evolution shouldn't exist. A cooperative pack of intelligent, tool-using persistence predators. The room fell silent again as they contemplated what this meant for humanity's place in the galaxy. They were no longer just another civilization. They were something that struck terror into the hearts of advanced alien species. And somewhere out in space, that warning beacon continued to broadcast its message. Beware of Earth. The Pine Ridge Observatory's alert system blared to life at exactly midnight. Jack jumped from his chair, nearly knocking over his cold coffee. Mary was already at the main console, her fingers racing across the keyboard. "Another signal," she announced, her voice tense. "But this one's different. It's coming from just beyond Pluto's orbit." General Roberts, who had been dozing in a corner chair, was instantly alert. "Is it the same aliens?" "No," Jack said, studying the readings. "This signal is being broadcast by some kind of automated beacon. They must have left it behind when they fled." The observatory's main screen filled with strange symbols and patterns. After 3 days of studying the alien language, Mary could now understand basic parts of it. Her face grew more serious with each line she translated. "This isn't good," she said finally, sitting back in her chair. "They've marked our entire solar system as a quarantine zone. Earth is officially classified as a Class X death world." "What exactly does that mean?" the general asked, leaning over her shoulder. Jack pulled up the translation on a separate screen. "According to this, Class X means extreme danger, no contact permitted. They're warning every spacefaring species to stay away from our solar system." Mary continued reading. "The beacon describes Earth as home to pursuit predators with abstract thinking capabilities and tool use. But there's more." She paused, swallowing hard. "They've included detailed scans of our biology and behavior patterns." The general frowned. "Why would they do that?" "To prove to others that we exist," Jack explained. "Apparently, our combination of traits is so rare that most species wouldn't believe it without evidence. The beacon contains everything they learned about us during those 3 minutes of scanning." One of the junior officers, who had stayed through the night shift, spoke up. "Can you show us what they're telling others about us?" Mary nodded and began displaying translations on the main screen. The alien text appeared alongside English translations. "Warning, Death World DTKT. Planet supports unprecedented number of predator species. Dominant species, designation, humans, displays impossible evolutionary traits. Evidence of pack-hunting behavior combined with advanced tool use. Capable of pursuing prey to exhaustion. Biological data attached. Shows signs of predatory intelligence development. Extreme caution advised. No contact. RECONNEND." "Look at this part," Jack said, pointing to a new section of text. "They've declared a no-fly zone around our entire solar system. Any ship entering this space will be considered either lost or suicidal." The general rubbed his temples. "So they're not just running away. They're making sure everyone else stays away too." "It's more than that," Mary replied, still translating. "The beacon is part of some kind of galactic warning network. They're treating Earth like a natural disaster area. According to this, our solar system has been marked with the highest danger rating in their classification system. Higher than supernovas. Black holes," Jack asked incredulously. "Different category," Mary explained. "Those are natural hazards. We're listed under evolutionary anomalies too dangerous for contact. The beacon specifically warns that humans combine traits that their scientists thought were mutually exclusive." The general walked to the window, staring up at the stars. "So we're alone out here, quarantined by our own nature." "Not exactly," Jack said, studying a new set of data. "The beacon's transmitting something else. Some kind of monitoring protocol. Mary, can you make sense of this?" Mary leaned in, her eyes widening as she read. "They're not just warning others to stay away. They're actively watching us. The beacon contains automated systems designed to track our development." "Why would they do that?" the junior officer asked. The answer came as Mary translated the final section of the beacon's message. Her voice was barely a whisper as she read. "Species capable of rapid advancement. Current containment protocols may be insufficient within one planetary cycle. Further evaluation required." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. They weren't just being quarantined. They were being studied. And somewhere out there, An advanced alien civilization was watching humanity's every move, terrified of what they might become. 1 week after discovering the warning beacon, the Pine Ridge Observatory had become the center of global attention. World leaders gathered in the facility's main conference room, their faces illuminated by the glow of multiple screens showing the alien data. Jack stood before them, his usual casual demeanor replaced by nervous energy as he addressed the most powerful people on Earth. "The situation is both better and worse than we initially thought," he began, pulling up the latest translations. "Better because we now know we're safe from alien invasion. Worse because we're effectively cut off from the galactic community." The President of the United States leaned forward in her chair. "What are our options? Can we try to contact them? Show them we're not as dangerous as they think?" Mary stepped up beside Jack, shaking her head. "It's not that simple. Their fear of us isn't based on a misunderstanding. It's based on facts about our biology and evolution that we can't change. To them, we're literally built to be the perfect hunters. But we're not just hunters anymore," the Chinese premier argued. "We have art, music, literature. We're capable of peace and cooperation." "That actually makes it worse," Jack replied, bringing up new images on the screen. "According to their data, predator species should not be capable of the level of cooperation we show. Our ability to work together makes us even more terrifying to them." The Russian president stood up, pacing the room. "So what do we do? Accept this quarantine? Live forever alone in the galaxy?" General Roberts, who had been quietly observing until now, spoke up. "There might be an advantage to this situation. Think about it. Every hostile species out there now knows to stay away from Earth. We've got the ultimate defensive perimeter, and we didn't have to fire a single shot." "He's right," Mary added. "The beacon essentially makes Earth the galaxy's equivalent of a haunted house. Nobody wants to come near us." One of the European leaders raised her hand. "But what about peaceful contact? Trade? Cultural exchange?" Jack pulled up the beacon's warning message again. "Look at these readings. The aliens are monitoring our development. They're watching to see how we progress, probably trying to determine if we'll eventually become a threat to them. And that's the real problem," Mary continued. "Every technological advance we make, every step forward in space exploration, it's probably making them more nervous, not less." The room erupted in heated discussion. Some leaders argued for trying to prove humanity's peaceful nature, while others suggested using their fear as a shield. The debate raged for hours until the Japanese Prime Minister, who had been silent until now, finally spoke. "Perhaps," she said quietly, and the room fell silent, "we are looking at this the wrong way. Instead of seeing our situation as a curse, we should see it as an opportunity." "What do you mean?" several voices asked at once. "We have been given time," she explained. "Time to develop at our own pace without interference. Time to solve our own problems, to unite our world, to reach the stars on our own terms. The aliens' fear is protecting us from both hostile and helpful intervention." The president nodded slowly. "A chance to prove to ourselves, and to them, what humanity can become." "Exactly," Jack said, understanding dawning on his face. "And look at this part of the beacon's message that we just decoded." He highlighted a section of alien text. "They're not just monitoring us for signs of aggression. They're watching to see if we can overcome our predatory nature." Mary stepped forward. "That's unprecedented in their experience. A species that evolves as a predator, but chooses to be peaceful. It's never happened before." The room grew quiet as the implications sank in. They weren't just being quarantined. They were being tested. Every decision humanity made from this point forward would be watched and evaluated by an audience of terrified alien species. "So," the general said, breaking the silence, "we have a choice to make. Do we try to contact them? Or do we focus on proving, through our actions, that we're more than what our biology suggests?" The answer would shape humanity's future among the stars. But first, they needed to deal with a new development, one that would change everything they thought they knew about their place in the galaxy. 3 months after the discovery of the warning beacon, Jack and Mary sat in the quiet observatory, watching the sun rise over the mountains. The world had changed since their revelations about humanity's place in the galaxy. Countries that were once enemies now worked together, united by the knowledge that they were all part of Earth's terrifying species. "Are you sure about this?" Mary asked, looking at the complex array of equipment they had set up. "Once we send this message, there's no taking it back." Jack nodded, checking the final calculations one more time. "The beacon is listening. If we're going to respond, now is the time." They had spent weeks crafting the perfect message, working with leaders and scientists from around the world. It wasn't just a response. It was humanity's first intentional communication to the galaxy. General Roberts entered the room, followed by representatives from the United Nations. "Are we ready?" he asked. "Almost," Mary replied, making final adjustments to their transmission equipment. The message is loaded and translated into their language format. Jack stood up and faced the group. "Everyone understand what we're risking here? This could make them even more afraid of us." The UN Secretary General stepped forward, or it could show them something they've never seen before, a predator species choosing a different path. Mary began the transmission sequence. On the main screen, their message began to broadcast. "To the galactic community. We are humanity, the species you fear. We have found your warning beacon and understood your fear. Yes, we evolved as predators. Yes, we have the traits you find terrifying. But we are more than our evolutionary past. Through our history, we have learned to channel our predatory instincts into protection rather than aggression. We hunt now only to defend and preserve. Our persistence has become determination to explore and understand. Our pack mentality has evolved into global cooperation. We do not deny what we are, but we choose what we become." The message continued broadcasting, carrying with it examples of human art, music, scientific achievements, and peace treaties. It showed how humans protected endangered species, healed the sick, and helped the weak, all choices that went against pure predator nature. As the last part of the message transmitted, everyone in the room held their breath. Would there be a response, or would the silence of the galaxy continue? Minutes stretched into hours. The sun had fully risen when suddenly their equipment lit up with incoming data. "We're receiving something," Mary shouted, her fingers flying over the keyboard. It's massive. Some kind of data package." Jack rushed to help decode it. As the translation appeared on screen, his eyes widened. "This is incredible." The alien response was unexpected. Instead of fear or threats, they had sent knowledge. Vast libraries of scientific information, star charts, and technological data. But more importantly, they sent a message. In our history of space exploration, we have encountered many species, some peaceful, some hostile. But never have we found one that could recognize its own nature and choose to rise above it. You are unique not because you are predators, but because you understand what that means and actively work to be more. Your children still play at hunting, but they hunt paper prey. Your bodies still carry the tools of pursuit, but you pursue knowledge. You have not lost your predator's persistence, but you persist in helping others. We will maintain the quarantine, not out of fear, but to give you time. Time to show the galaxy what a species can become when it consciously evolves beyond its origins. You are not monsters. You are something we have never seen before, predators who chose to become protectors. The room erupted in celebration. Tears flowed freely as the implications became clear. They weren't being isolated. They were being given a chance to prove something revolutionary to the galaxy. Mary turned to Jack, smiling through her tears. "So what happens now?" The general answered, looking out at the morning sky with new hope. "Now we show them who we really are. Not just what evolution made us, but what we choose to be." And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, the warning beacon's message changed slightly. Earth was still classified as a death world, but with a new mutation, under observation, showing signs of unprecedented evolutionary advancement. The predators are becoming protectors. Continue monitoring with great interest. The story of humanity's place in the galaxy was just beginning.